6:45 a.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Mario Vijayavardhana. The headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe reiterates that the country should follow and go with the present world trends. The Minister of Mass Media, Transport and Highways, Dr. Bandula Gudavardhana, says a new service charter will be introduced to the Sri Lanka Transport Board in such a way that it will not change even if the government changes. Professor Vasantha Attukorala of the Department of Economics and Statistics of the University of Peradeniya says there is a lot of misinformation circulating all over the country in connection with the tax identification number TIN or TIN. Sri Lanka begins railway line upgradation with India's assistance. The Urban Development Authority says 50% of the title deeds will be provided to the people residing in government flats before the end of this year. In news overseas, North Korea denies artillery firing report by the South. In sports news, Wanindu might play in the second one-day against Zimbabwe today. President Ranil Wickremesinghe reiterated that the country should follow and go with the present world trends. The president made these remarks at a function held yesterday afternoon to celebrate the 125th anniversary of the Colombo Young Buddhist Federation. The function was held at the BMICH. Speaking further, the president said the country cannot be developed only through economic growth. Export income should be increased to cover the expenses of the import of essential goods. The budget resolutions and suggestions should be followed without fail. The targets and goals of the budget should be achieved without widening the trade deficit. The government should march forward, connecting the mistakes of the past, correcting them. The country should also make maximum use of the alternative renewable energy sources such as solar and wind to generate power and energy, the president added. The Minister of Mass Media, Transport and Highways, Dr. Bandula Gudavardhana, says a new service charter will be introduced to the Sri Lanka Transport Board in such a way that it will not change even the government changes. The minister made these remarks at a ceremony to commemorate the 66th anniversary of the SLTB yesterday. The function was held in Medavachia. The newly established work site of the SLTB in Medavachia will be named as Maithripala Senanayake Engineering Manufacturing Industry Site. Speaking further at this function, the minister said 500 buses were provided to the SLTB last year. Another 1,000 buses will be provided to the SLTB this year, the minister added. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Excelsior. Live the life you want.
The Minister of Transport, Highways and Mass Media, Bandula Gudavardhana, and the High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, ceremonially launched the track rehabilitation work at the Galgaon railway station, commencing the upgradation of the railway line, including ancillary works from Maho to Anuradhapura yesterday. The upgradation of the lines from Maho to Anuradhapura on the main line is the second phase of a line of credit project for track rehabilitation from Maho to Omantai, which is undertaken by an Indian public sector company, Ercon, under an Indian line of credit of $318 million. The Indian High Commission in Colombo said in a statement. The cost of the entire project is $91.27 million, of which the second phase of rehabilitation from Maho to Anuradhapura is scheduled to be completed in a period of 6 months, they mention. The State Minister of Mass Media, Shantha Vandara, and senior officials from the Sri Lankan Ministry of Transport were also present at the event, according to the Indian High Commission in Sri Lanka. Speaking during the event, the Minister of Transport, Bandula Gudavardhana, expressed gratitude to India for the support extended to Sri Lanka, especially in the transport sector. Appreciating the work carried out by Ercon in Sri Lanka in the past few years, he also called for great railway cooperation between the two countries. The High Commissioner expressed happiness that as long-standing development partners of Sri Lanka, India had executed projects for the development and rehabilitation of Sri Lanka's northern and southern railway line over the past several years, in line with the priorities and requirements of the government of Sri Lanka. He underscored the importance of modernization of railways in enhancing mobility of goods and services in Sri Lanka, thereby boosting economic activity. Professor Vasantha Hattukorala of the Department of Economics and Statistics of the University of Peradeniya says there is a lot of misinformation circulating all over the country in connection with the tax identification number TIN or TIN. He says the process is a timely measure and having a TIN does not mean that a person is liable for paying tax. It means having access to many services offered by many state institutions without any trouble. He said only Sri Lankans who are above the age of 18 and earn over 100,000 rupees per month and over 1.2 million rupees annually need to pay income tax and no other Sri Lankan needs to pay tax. He stressed a fine of not more than 50,000 rupees can be imposed under Article 177 of the Inland Revenue Act for those who are above the age of 18, eligible to obtain a TIN but do not have a TIN. He claimed the process will make it easier for the government to fine those who are not paying taxes. The Urban Development Authority says 50% of the title deeds will be provided to the people residing in government flats before the end of this year. Around 14,500 residents are living in government flats at present. The UDA said it will take a few months to solve the practical and technical issues on this matter. Thereafter, the deeds will be provided to the respective residents. The UDA plans to implement 22 development projects each year.
People's Bank Excelsior, a comprehensive banking services package with a branded checkbook as well as debit and credit card exclusively for you. People's Bank Excelsior, for professionals who dare to dream.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe declared a prompt allocation of funds to tackle health and education issues in the north by giving priority to identification needs. The President's Media Division PMD said in a statement with priority to identified needs. Specifically, initiatives will be undertaken to allocate land for the teaching hospital in Jaffna and to allocate funds for the recruitment of teachers to fill vacancies. The President articulated this commitment during a discussion held on Saturday at the Jaffna District Secretariat with representatives from the health and education sectors along with the youth community. Nearly 300 individuals representing the health sector, the education sector and the youth community were in attendance as the President addressed and provided solutions to their concerns.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
This is Watchlight.
The Health Ministry launched a special dengue prevention week starting from yesterday, the 7th of January. Within the week, cleaning campaigns as well as dengue prevention and awareness campaigns will be carried out island-wide. Addressing the media, Dr. Sudat Samaravira, the Director of the National Dengue Control Unit, invited people to render their fullest cooperation in making the campaign a success. That came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
In world news headlines, 128 people confirmed dead in Japan's Ishikawa prefecture 1 week after the quake. North Korea denies artillery firing reported by the South. Japanese Foreign Minister Kamikawa pledges $37 million in aid for Ukraine drone detection. Officials in the Ishikawa prefecture say 128 people have been confirmed dead 1 week after a powerful earthquake struck central Japan. The full extent of the damage is still unknown, while efforts are underway to rebuild damaged roads to search for survivors and deliver relief supplies. The magnitude 7.6 quake struck shortly after 4 p.m. on New Year's Day. A maximum seismic intensity of 7 on the Japanese scale was recorded in the town of Shika, upper 6 in the cities of Nanao, Wajima and Suzu, and in the town of Anamizu. North Korea has denied South Korea's accusation that the North fired artillery shells towards the Yellow Sea on Saturday. The North claims it only detonated explosives as a deception tactic. The South Korean military said on Saturday that the North had fired more than 60 artillery rounds off its western coast towards the Yellow Sea. In a statement carried by the state-run Korean Central News Agency on Sunday, the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's sister Kim Yo-jong said the North detonated blasting powder 60 times to stimulate the sound of artillery. The Japanese Foreign Minister Kamikawa Yoko has met her Ukrainian counterpart Dmytro Kuleba in Kiev, pledging a contribution of $37 million for providing the country with a drone detection system. The meeting took place on Sunday for about 90 minutes. Kuleba said at the onset of the talks that Japan's invitation of the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to last year's Group of 7 Hiroshima summit is highly recognized. And now the main points of the World News segment once again. 128 people confirmed dead in Japan's Ishikawa prefecture 1 week after the quake. week. North Korea denies artillery firing reported by the South. The Japanese Foreign Minister Kamikawa pledges $37 million in aid for Ukraine drone detection. That was World News.
Development News.
Sri Lanka Tourism stated that the year with a bang, attracting 25,619 arrivals, was to commence in just 4 days. During 2023, in January, Sri Lanka had a total of 102,545 for the month, and this figure is expected to be overrun this month. After a long lapse, the Russian Federation of Rivals, which were 5,060 with a share of 20%, became number one, beating India's 3,333, while Germany, the United Kingdom and Australia remained as third, fourth and fifth best destinations for Sri Lanka. China was in the sixth place.
Moving on with sports news.
In cricket news, Sri Lankan key spinner Vanindu Hasaranga will most probably play today's second ODI game against Zimbabwe at the R. Premadas International Cricket Stadium commencing at 2:30 p.m. According to medical experts, Vanindu Hasaranga, who missed the last World Cup due to a leg injury, has regained fitness and is ready to play the game. He played last two major clubs limited over cricket tournament matches for his club CCC, and once again he was among the wickets and ready to play the game today. If Hasaranga plays, he will replace leg spinner Jeffrey Van der Say.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In yet another industry first, Selingco General Insurance announced that it will be introducing a new process to deliver Selingco VIP on-the-spot vehicle insurance policies at customers' doorsteps within 24 hours of receiving a call at no extra cost, with effect from the 2nd of January 2024. For the convenience of the customers who wish to avail this service, the company has allocated a short code number 1334, which could be dialed from any mobile or fixed line network.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
And now in economic news, the Securities and Exchange Commission has approved a regulatory framework to facilitate the issuance and listing of infrastructure bonds on the Colombo Stock Exchange. This landmark decision by the SEC is aimed at fostering both foreign and local investments in infrastructure projects that will contribute to the economic development and well-being of the country. Infrastructure bonds aim to raise capital for vital projects such as roads, rail, water management, waste management systems, airports, seaports, mixed development projects, natural disaster protection systems, deep water ports, gas supply systems, utility projects, telecommunications, infrastructure too, which are integral to economic growth and sustainability.
Weather report.
The Met Department says showers will occur at times in the eastern, northern and Dover provinces. Several spells of showers will occur in the north-central province. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the other areas of the island after 1 p.m. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the western, Sabaragama and central provinces and in the Garland and Mathura districts. The public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during the thundershowers. This weather report was issued at 4:30 a.m. Further details can be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. That was the weather report. And now the headlines of this news broadcast once again. President Ranil Wickremesinghe reiterates that the country should follow and go with the present world trends. The Minister of Mass Media, Transport and Highways, Dr. Bandulu Gunawarthana, says a new service charter will be introduced to Sri Lanka to the Sri Lanka Transport Board in such a way that it will not change even the government changes. Professor Vasantha Athukorala of the Department of Economics and Statistics of the University of Peradeniya says there is a lot of misinformation circulating all over the country in connection with the tax identification number. Sri Lanka begins railway line upgradation with India as assistance. The Urban Development Authority says 50% of the title deeds will be provided to the people residing in government flats before the end of this year. In news overseas, North Korea denies artillery firing report by the South. In sports news, one Indu might play in the second one-day against Zimbabwe today. That concludes this news broadcast.